The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Napick and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Napick.
Welcome to the show, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I am your host, Bill Napick. Thank you for joining us on another radio adventure as we bring to you, right here from Houston, Texas, top real estate professionals. And we have Maya Blanton and Renee Davey, who we're going to speak with in a second. But first, we're going to talk to Maya Blanton. Maya, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bill. We're so glad to be here.
It is awesome to see you and also to be at your beautiful office. This is incredible right here in the city center area.
Yes, we're in City Center, centrally located. Renee and I do a lot of work on the west side of town in the Memorial area, so it just made perfect sense for us to locate our office here.
In fact, it is so close to everything. Mm-hmm. In addition, it is close to a very exciting and hot real estate market right now.
Yes.
How hot is it?
I mean, you wouldn't believe what's going on right now. I mean, I can't even explain it. Renee and I both have listings that are selling over asking price. I mean, it's hot right now.
It really is. Give us an idea of when we think of the market, the excitement and the dynamics right now, is it related to certain price points where there's more activity, where we're getting these multiple offers at above asking price, or how does it look in terms of the price points?
Yeah, generally the million and below, we're seeing a lot of multiple offers.
So the $1 million, if I'm going to buy a property, 500, 600, even 3, not around this area, I don't think, but that's where it's very competitive in terms of the buyers. It's very competitive. Mm-hmm. So when you coach a buyer, someone comes to you and says, I want to buy a property somewhere around, say, the city center area, how do you prepare them for this market so that they can get the property that they want?
You just have to be ready to move. I mean, it depends on the property. The good ones go fast.
And let's tell people what a good one is. I have something in my mind. Certainly super photographs really make a difference, but what are some of the other attributes? Like if you were selling your home, what are the things you'd make sure you would do?
Well, of course, you have to have professional photographs, like you said. I mean, no way around that. I recently helped some friends buy a property in Galveston. Great house. It had the most terrible photographs, and I promise you, that's why the house had not sold. People would just pass it by on the internet. So we got it for a great price.
Well, you're exactly right. In fact, just a side note, I every now and then will look at properties in other states, other cities, just to see what's going on in those markets, and I find that certain markets, like in Pennsylvania, where I grew up, some of those photographs are very poor, and I'm wondering they must just not have the competitive market we have or whatever, but photographs are super awesome.
Photographs are key.
Very key. So as far as the sellers, let's say someone's a seller in this area, once again, city center here in Houston, a little, if you're listening from out of the city, a little west of the Houston area. If you're a seller, how do you advise someone that says, Maya, I want to list my home and I'm in the Memorial area? How do you prepare them for their listing?
You have to have a clean house.
Declutter, right?
Declutter. It's not the easiest thing to sell your home. You're going to have a lot of showings. You have to be prepared to, have people tromping through your house. You have to be prepared for the last minute showing. You're just going to have to.
Well, you have to adjust your life for a certain point of time.
You have to adjust your life, yes.
But if the house is nice, it sounds like that inconvenience doesn't last that long.
Well, let's hope so. You got to get the price right.
You have to have the correct realtors, too, like your company.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's tell people a little bit about your distinctions. And then just meeting you today and Renee, you guys are just super awesome. So let's tell people some of the things that are different about your company as you help your buyers and sellers out there.
Well, Renee and I have been in the business for many years. We've been with some of the top real estate brokerages. It was just time for us to go out on our own. We were feeling held back by the larger brokerages and needed a little bit more freedom. It's wonderful that we can put our own spin on things and make things happen.
And here you are in short order doing doing things in a tremendous way. Going back to when you first started real estate, just give us a quick word why you love this profession and how'd you get into real estate to begin with?
I was actually a website developer. For 10 years, I sat behind a desk while my life passed me by. My children were growing, and I was stuck behind a desk. I just decided that I wanted to be a part of the world, and I'm a people person. I love talking with people and helping people. So it was just kind of a good fit for me. You have to be willing to help people when you're in this profession.
That's right, and this is a super profession to be in to do just that. Maya, let's tell people how they can reach out to you and your company.
You can just Google my name. I'm very accessible. My contact information is online. You can look us up at blantondavy.com. You can go to har.com and pull up my profile, read reviews that my clients have left for me. 5 stars, of course.
Of course they are, and I saw that before I came over here to your office. That's right. Again, the website is?
blantondavy.com.
Thank you so much, Maya Blanton.
Thank you.
Blanton Davy Properties right here, and now we get to talk to Renee Davy. Renee, welcome to the show.
Hey, Bill. Thank you.
It is awesome to see you, and let's tell people you are here with Maya. It's a lot of fun, and the market. Let's tell people about the marketplace right now from your perspective.
You know, I'll be perfectly honest. When COVID started, I was very nervous. I was very nervous about the market. When oil prices went down, I was on my knees. And it's been the complete opposite for the real estate business. It has been absolutely astronomical for us. The second quarter of the year has been phenomenal.
It really has. And it's interesting as we look at the total economic things going on around the country here in Houston, Texas. I will say that real estate is a beacon of hope and light right now, not just for Houston, but as I'm seeing other certain areas of the country. But Houston, you're right, is going crazy.
It's going nuts. Thank goodness.
And what's also interesting is that there have been a lot of people that have seized opportunities. We've reacted to this in a lot of different ways, all of us in different professions, but you and Maya started the company kind of right when this started, if I'm doing that timeline.
We did. It wasn't intentional. It was just time. Maya and I decided it was time to start a luxury boutique brokerage firm, and it just coincided with COVID at the beginning of April. We have spent the time that everybody else has been on lockdown putting our systems in place while selling off-the-chart numbers in real estate.
And your company started about how many months ago?
It was beginning of April, about 4 months ago.
So how exciting is that for anyone in any brand new business to already be up and running, exceeding goals and expectations?
Blessings. Very blessed.
Super blessings. That is correct. So as we look ahead, here we are. We never know the future, but what is your feeling as you're dealing with buyers and sellers every day and seeing the properties? What do you think is going to unfold?
I think the market's going to stay strong. I think that the challenge in the market right now, certain price points are a little bit slower, like Maya was saying. You know, $1 million and under is very active. You get into that $1.4 million, $1.5 million, it's slowed down a little bit. But interest rates are awesome. So people are moving up. People are downsizing. People are making changes now that they're working from home. They need to change. It's a change of lifestyle for everybody.
That's exactly right. In some cases, as far as buying and selling, they are changing their homes because they've been around and said, man, I wish I had a pool. I wish this was bigger and all that, right?
Right. I mean, pool companies are off the charts right now because pools are closed.
You're exactly right. I know there's a lot of certain luxury items that are hard to get. Certainly bicycles aren't a luxury item, but they have been hard to get. Spas, getting a pool contractor. I've investigated this myself. You're exactly right.
Right. My sister's trying to get one of those they're on the farm, their tank.
I saw that in the Wall Street Journal.
Because she wants to start making those water tank pools, and all the supply companies are sold out.
So I wasn't the only one that read that.
Yeah,
in fact,
I
I cut that out and I saw it yesterday when I was organizing my office. But who cares? In the meantime, that is a fascinating thing, that water tank pool that has such a rustic look and looks really cool in an architectural way.
Right.
That is awesome. By the way, you mentioned your sister. You have a son that also helps people that own homes. We may want to tell just a word about his business.
Oh, thank you.
He is such a fine young man. I got to meet him.
Thank you so much. I'm very proud of him. Sam Stilley with Am Still Roofing. His father started the company in 1974, and Sam's taken the reins and has just really done some amazing things. He always gives back to the community, and the client. He's all about the client. He has a heart bigger than I've ever seen.
In fact, he's partnered with us at Stewart Titles several times. He is an incredible young man. So if you need a new roof or you want your roof checked, you can call Amstel Roofing, right?
Amstel Roofing, that's right.
And tell him that you talked to Sam's mom.
I tell him Sam's mom sent you.
Sam's mom sent you. That sounds like the name.
I say that all the time, and he's like, Mom, have him just call the office. I'm like, no, I'm having him call my son.
You are proud of your son and should be. In the meantime, what are some of the other things that we think about, Renee, in this marketplace, in real estate? And also, it's kind of interesting. It is sizzling here, but not everywhere. And people hear this show far and wide. So how would you describe this western part of Houston to someone that might be saying, you know what, I may want to retire in Houston based on the low taxes, relatively no state income tax. But if someone's listening outside of Houston and they want to call your company and talk about a place to retire or bring their business, how would you describe this area of Houston, the western part of town, let's say?
It's so we're in the city. People consider downtown Houston the city, but we are in the city. But, in Houston, we are so spread out. We have the luxury of a lot of elbow room. We're not overcrowded.
One of the things I would say is that there are several circles around Houston, right?
Yes.
You have the center of the city, where you have the Houston downtown, we'll call it. You have another circle, and then out where we are here at your office, it's called the city center area.
City center.
And even though it's west, it has become a central point for a lot of activity and for where people live.
Absolutely. Corporate America has come out to City Center. When I was a little girl, there was a rumor that, I-10 and Highway 6 was going to be downtown Houston someday. And, City Center has gotten us pretty close to being something similar to a small metropolis of a downtown.
It really has. And there is so much here. I will say, if you had a home in this area, and I did many years ago, the properties are appreciating in a major way right around the city center.
Oh, absolutely. Unbelievable. The schools are phenomenal.
Indeed, they are. So you're feeling it's going to be good the next couple months. We've established that, and your company is off to a roaring start. What else should we know about your company, Blanton Davey?
I think it's important to know that we represent buyers and sellers all throughout the greater Houston area, all the way into the Galveston area. We don't limit our services to specific areas of town. We're all about the client, and wherever the client wants to be, we're hired for our abilities and our knowledge, not for the area that we're designated, quote, supposed to be in.
That is a good point. And also, how did you get into real estate? People always want to know that when we talk to realtors.
15 years ago, I had been living overseas with my children. And
where, by the way?
I lived in Bangkok for 5 years and Budapest for 5 years.
Interesting.
Yeah. So moved back to Houston, quick story. Bought a house in the West Houston area where we are now. And one of my neighbors was a realtor, and she was super successful. And I thought, doggone it, I'm going to do that too.
You make it look easy. Thank you so much for being on the show. How can people reach out to you and your company?
Renee Davey. You can reach us online at blantondavey.com. You can reach me directly on my cell, 713-456-9861. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
And the number again is?
713-456-9861.
Thank you, Renee Davey, and a dazzling website it is.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
now we have the opportunity for us to be together, Blanton Davy Properties. We've talked to Maya and Renee separately, but here we are together, Maya, Blanton Davy Properties. It's awesome when you guys work as a team, and you guys are friends and business partners, right?
Yes, we have been for quite some time now. We've known each other about 10 years, did our first deal together about 5 or 6 years ago. We've been working partners at least the past 3 years. Pretty good symbiotic relationship.
And that's so important, especially not just for people working in the same company, but for the owners of the company to be harmonious that enables you to work better with buyers and sellers and even offer them so much more. One of the things we mentioned before this recording is that initially when you all met, you had a particularly challenging deal, and that kind of helped cement your relationship. Give us just a bullet point or two about a challenging relationship that kind of brought you together.
It absolutely was a turning point in our relationship. We were doing our first deal together, which was a $2 million lot on Memorial Drive. Renee had the listing, I had the buyer, and we could not get Renee's client to sign the closing documents. It took a week. He would drive to the title company, he'd look at the papers, and then he'd turn around and leave. So it was a big challenge, but Renee and I got it together. It took all of us working together to get it done, and we've been tight ever since.
There you go. As I say, it takes teamwork to make the dream work. Without the right team, it could be a nightmare. Renee, you guys are not stopping here. Your company's young, you're exceeding your goals, and you're on the move to other areas, not just Houston. Let's tell people about that.
That's right, Bill. Thank you. Maya and I have a vision to keep it a unique brokerage firm that is small with impeccable service and not a big corporation. However, we have already opened, we have agents in Waco, Texas, which is an amazingly hot market. For those of you who haven't been to Waco in a long time, you should probably roll through there. And we are about to have agents start in Austin, which I don't know if people are keeping up with Austin, Texas, but that is a plethora of real estate activity going on there. Yeah, we're excited. We're excited to branch out and bring Blanton Davy to other areas throughout Texas. We're Texas proud.
In fact, we do have some Austin listeners. I don't know about Waco, but you never know where the show is heard.
Thank
you, guys. It's been so nice to meet you and talk with you here today. Let's tell people how they can reach out to you once again.
You can reach us by our website, blantondavy.com. You can reach us by phone, 713-456-9861. You can follow us on Instagram or Facebook, Blanton Davy Properties.
It's that easy, right?
It's that easy.
And the number again is?
713-456-9861.
And thank you so much for being on the show and allowing us to be at your office.
Thank you so much.
If you're a real estate professional, then listen closely. Cyber criminals are targeting our industry. They are impersonating real estate professionals, homebuyers, sellers, and title agents. Their goal is to gain access to your inboxes, computers, and clients so they can steal information and funds. Does your business insurance offset these risks? Not sure? Contact Stewart Insurance to determine if your business is properly insured. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.
And let's welcome to the show Steve Guillen. He is the managing broker of Realty Associates right here in the fourth largest city, Houston, Texas. Steve, welcome to the show.
Hey, good to be here. Glad to be here.
Well, your company is on the march, making progress all the time, and helping buyers and sellers in a tremendous way. Steve, let's tell people, in case they have not heard or listening from outside of the Houston area, Realty Associates. Let's tell them about your company.
Our business model was unique at one time. We had a model that compensated our agents really well, and it's since been duplicated, and there's some other companies out there doing the same thing. But because we were the leading edge in the business model, we were able to acquire quite a few agents, and since then we've kept the best of the best, in my opinion. We have a really good team of agents. Case in point, when this pandemic and all this started, our agents were out there still doing deals and doing what they usually do. We didn't have that big of a lull. I think we saw maybe a 10 or 15% decline, and that was it. I know some of the other companies suffered a bigger loss than that, but just to emphasize, we have a bunch of good agents here, and we're really proud of them.
Really tremendous. As far as locations, give people an idea of some of the locations. I think you have several around the city. Is that right?
Yes, yes. Because we have a good business model, we have over 1,700 agents at this time in the Houston area. So we cover the Houston area pretty well, and we have about we have right at seven different offices in the Houston area. We have the Katy location, we have Pearland, we have Baytown, Crosby, we have the Woodlands location, we have the Willowbrook Center, and then our headquarters is on Antoine, close to I-10 and Antoine. So those are our main offices that we work out of. We have one in Humble also. We have another office that we operate down in Harlingen, but those people there are doing a fantastic job also. We have pretty much the Houston area covered, to be honest with you.
It sounds good. And as I said earlier, it is the fourth largest city, so that is saying something. It is a big city, and we see it all the time. We talk about the growth on this show. It seems like the expansion, we are expanding in every direction. People are going north, further west, further south even. Give us an idea of what you're seeing in the marketplace. If someone's out there listening, they may be thinking about buying, thinking about selling. How would you describe the market right now at this point in time?
Well, this particular stage that the market's in right now is the inventory hasn't swelled up during the summertime like it usually does. I think it's because of the pandemic. People are just kind of staying put and not making a move just due to uncertainty out there, whether it be for job or whatever. The inventory is getting snatched up. It's a good time to buy still. But you need to be decisive. You need to be out there ready to pull the trigger. In other words, have your financing and everything that you need in a row, and be ready to buy a home. So,
that's a good point. So the advice for the would-be buyer out there is have your ducks in a row. If you're paying cash, have the cash ready. Be pre-approved. Right. Just be ready to go. Because you're right, I've watched. I take certain areas of town periodically and go on HAR and look at homes, and it seems like the ones that have nice photographs, they do not last long. They're getting snatched up.
You're right. You're exactly right. The better the photographs, the virtual tour, I mean, that all enhances your listing. And if you can have a nice, picture and a tour to view online, boy, you can bet you're going to get some attention. So.
And you mentioned Katy, Texas. Give us a word on the Katy area. It seems, again, you have Katy, you go beyond, there's Fulshear. What's happening in Katy?
Katy has been booming for quite some time now. It just seems like people like it out there. The schools are good. The atmosphere must be great out there. I don't live out there, but I can tell you that the amount of population here in the last 5-10 years out there in Katy has just been enormous. They've really grown. I've been out there on several occasions to our office, met some of the people, viewed some of the properties out there, and it's a really, really nice what they've done. They've done a quality job in the community as far as the schools and everything that's important to the moms raising kids, and it's just a good area to be in Houston.
We are talking with Steve Guillen. He is the managing broker at Realty Associates here in Houston, Texas. Steve, what do you see any trends that are developing right now, or some of the trends that, let's say, if one of your agents was talking to someone about a listing, what are some of the things they're telling them now that maybe they didn't talk about last year at this time?
Because of the pandemic, this year we're doing a lot more virtual tours. A lot of properties are being evaluated online. We were headed in that direction. It seems like the times have just kind of advanced us in that area to the buyers buying and looking at the properties first, evaluating the properties online, and it seems like that's where we're headed. We're technology was always growing in the real estate industry, and it's just going to advance us that much quicker. So I would do my evaluations online, and then be like I said, be ready to pull the trigger when you get out there. So.
And with your company, you have a certain leadership capacity. If people are out there that are thinking about getting into real estate, and you have a discerning eye that I think by now you know who has the potential to be a top performing agent, a good agent, an excellent agent. If someone's out there and they happen to be listening to the show, maybe they're young, maybe they're older, but if they're thinking about real estate, how would you advise someone as far as telling them really what to expect if they were thinking and they said, "Man, I want to be a realtor at Realty Associates"? What's the right stuff that people should have in your opinion?
In my opinion, it doesn't take long when you're introduced to the public that's either buying or selling that they know right off the bat if you're in touch with what's going on as far as real estate goes. And what I want to throw out there is that get all the knowledge that you can. If you really enjoy meeting people and helping people, then this might be the industry that you're looking for, because it's very rewarding when someone actually buys a house that you helped them, or they sell their house and you helped them. It's a rewarding feeling. And if someone was going to join, I would tell you to read up on it as much as you can, get as much knowledge as you can, try and pick the right company that's going to bring you along as far as getting you up to par to all the contracts and the knowledge and the terms and everything. In other words, someone that would give you a mentor as opposed to classroom instructions. And the reason I say that is just that one-on-one is just a lot. You can absorb more, in my opinion. If you're a person that loves to help people and be rewarded internally, I think this is the industry for you.
In fact, I think sometimes certain TV shows make it look easy and people get pulled in, but yet on each and every real estate transaction, they're all different, some easier, some more challenging, but sometimes they make it look a little bit easy. But in that transaction, as a realtor, you have to have the right team assembled to help your buyers or sellers. There's a lot of parts that happen during the real estate transaction.
Correct. Yes, I think being prepared, whether you're going to show buyers or, take on a listing and help somebody sell a home, if you're prepared, and what I mean by that, if you have these things in place to market the property, if you have, if you're knowledgeable about the area you're going to help somebody buy, and you're giving them as much information as you can, that's going to help out tremendously. So, yeah, being prepared is huge to make it look easy,
There you go. And Steve, we have about a minute or so left. What else would you like people to know about you and what you're doing to help people buy and sell, or your company?
Well, I've been in the industry right at 25 years now, and I can tell you that it's a industry that's challenging. It's constantly changing. We have a lot of good things in place, like the Texas Real Estate Commission constantly protecting consumers, making us do the mandatory education and just staying on top of everybody to put out a good service as far as the real estate agent goes. Like I said before, we have over 1,700 agents, and obviously they are all of the opinion that we put out a good product business-wise, and they want to be part of it. So it's very rewarding, and we're glad to have the bunch that we do have.
And Steve, if someone wants to reach out to you or your team, what should they do?
Well, first of all, we'd love to have you. Give us a call if you have any questions, and give you the answers or find the answers for you. We'd love to talk to you. My phone number there is 713-464-5656, and just ask for Steve, and we're glad to talk with you and see if this is the right career for you.
Steve Guillen, the number is 713-464-5656, helping people, buyers and sellers all the time. Steve, thanks for being on the show.
Hey, glad to be here. Thank you so much.
In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Stewart Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Stewart Insurance, 866-798-2827. StewartInsurance.com. That's StewartInsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.
Our guest is Don Leonard with Fathom Realty right here in Houston, Texas. He is the district director. Don, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill. Good to be here.
Here we go. Real estate is always a fascinating topic. You have been here in Houston for many years. In fact, had your own radio show regarding real estate called Open House Radio years ago. First of all, Don, what makes real estate so exciting and so interesting to people that are not just are buying and selling, but everybody else?
It's always different. No matter what the transaction is, there's always something different about it. It's challenging, but it's also very rewarding when you see the buyers and sellers get what they want and they're happy about it. It's a very rewarding thing, but it is challenging. You've got a lot of moving parts to transactions, and so no two transactions are ever the same.
I know. That's also, I think, what makes it interesting. But sometimes the real estate professional does have challenges that must be navigated in order to bring things to a successful closing and conclusion, right?
Absolutely. And of course, you never know exactly where those challenges are going to come from. This year has been particularly challenging for a lot of people just based on the fact that the way we do business has had to change and adapt to the situation that we get faced with.
That is awesome. Let's tell people about your company, Fathom Realty, right here in Houston.
Well, I like to describe Fathom as one of the best kept secrets in real estate because it is a national company, but just not that well known in Houston right now. We're out to change that, and that's what we're doing. They are out of North Carolina. The home office is in North Carolina. They are very strong in the Dallas area, have about 1,000 agents there. We're actually in 24 different states, altogether over 4,000 agents. A virtual company, not a lot of bricks and sticks, which a lot of the agents like, and it fits very nicely into the business pattern we see us in today, that a lot of people are having to adapt and find ways of doing business without actually physically being able to go into their office. Now, we were considered essential, which is great, but still getting out there and being able to show buyers and work with sellers is a little bit challenging, but it's something that Fathom's been doing for over a decade now.
And I do want to, before I forget, say thank you to Tammy Barna, who is my friend and your longtime friend with Stewart Title, developing business for us in the Cypress area. But she brought you forth and said, hey, you got to get Don on the show. And here you are. So thanks to Tammy. As far as market trends that you see, Don, other than dealing with the virus that we have here unexpectedly here in 2020, how do you see things play out for the rest of the year? I think certain markets are very exciting and sizzling right now. But how do you see things? What's your feeling on the rest of the 2020?
I think we're in pretty good shape for the rest of the year. You get past the end of this year, it gets a little more muddled because we just don't know the path forward at this point completely, and so that may change things. Initially, I thought that we might see a bit of a downturn in fall and maybe winter based on the fact that so many people were doing their forbearance agreements and all of that. But, given the fact that a lot of those lenders are allowing those buyers or those owners to just take those payments, and instead of being responsible to pick them all up here at once or even spread it out over the next 12 months, that they're being allowed to take those payments that they didn't make and just tack them on to the end. I think that's going to do away with a lot of the possible foreclosures that I thought we might see. I thought we might see, a situation where owners just weren't able to handle the additional monthly payment that one big lump sum payment that they'd have to come up with. But I think a lot of lenders are going to be working with them and just let them tack it onto the end. So, I think that may have taken away some of the distressed inventory that we might have seen between now and the end of the year.
There are so many unique circumstances in 2020. One of them is, in fact, it was a headline last week in the Wall Street Journal, interest rates are the lowest ever recorded ever. That's incredible.
I saw that. That's it's incredible. I've been in the business since 1983. My very first real estate transaction was a 17.5% interest rate on a VA, on a $60,000 house. So, yeah, for those of us who have been in the business for a long time, we see these numbers, and heck, if we saw 5 or 6, we'd just be happy as we can be. But I guess it's all relative. When you get used to seeing 3, 3.5, and 4, I'm a little concerned about what's going to happen if and when we see these interest rates jump up to 5.5 or 6. Exactly what kind of effect that's going to have on buyers.
Oh, because right now the rates have been low for so long. And
right.
It was interesting just to see that article to say it was the lowest ever. So, yeah, who knows what to expect, but it seems like whatever happens, things adapt in real estate because we still have to live somewhere. And, of course, there are investors out there, and people like to invest on the ups and downs of any cycle. So it will be interesting. Maybe that's why real estate is just so fascinating. It's always moving.
Maybe so. You're absolutely right. And that's one of the things. I'm a teacher as well, an instructor at Champion School of Real Estate. And we talk about that in our pre-licensing classes, is that, it doesn't matter what market you're in. There's always going to be challenges and there's always going to be opportunities. And your job is to get out there and figure out where they are.
That's right. Each transaction is different. Let's say if you were advising a buyer right now in this marketplace, how would you prepare the buyer? They said, hey, Don, let's go look at some homes. I'm interested in this price. What would you advise that buyer right now, today?
Start early. Because, depending on the type of property they're looking at, especially one-story homes below, say, 300 or 325, you almost have to hide behind a tree to get a listing agreement signed before buyers want to take a look at it or, put a contract in on it. And so depending on the type of property, it's really get started early. Do your preparation, get started early. And, some of the specific stuff that we start talking about now is that I tell my buyers that when we go into a property, you just might as well figure you're being watched and you're being listened to, that they've got cameras on and they probably are listening to what you say. And so, you might want to be careful what we talk about inside of the property. You might want to be careful because a lot of sellers these days are utilizing that technology out there and watching and listening to how that showing goes.
That's right, and the security cameras and systems are around, have been for years. I just have that mindset that when I leave the house, I'm being watched all the time. Everywhere I go, the cameras are everywhere. In fact, in the current issue that I just got in the mailbox of Tierra Grande magazine, they address that very topic as far as some of the legal considerations of the security systems and what real estate professionals should know when showing homes regarding that type of surveillance. So also, what are some of the other things that people should know about your company or about trends in real estate that you're seeing?
Well, like I said before, our company, we're really just getting started, getting the word out about Fathom. We are a virtual real estate company, which technically means we don't really have office space. But when you look at the trends when it comes to real estate agents, anyway, many of them don't go to the office to work anyway. And so we feel like that this system works extremely well for most real estate agents. It gives us the ability to do a little bit better, and maybe in some cases a lot better than some of the commission split programs and things like that. We are a 100% commission company with a transaction fee. But we feel like that we fit nicely into this business pattern that we see right now, where originally I thought the trend was going to be more virtual because it has been over the last several years, but I thought we had maybe 3 to 5 more years before we got to the point to where it became a necessity. But of course, with COVID-19, it's kind of pushed that timetable up to where it's a necessity now. And so regardless of where an agent works, I think they really need to be aware of what a buyer is going to be wanting in terms of being able to look at things online, how much information they're allowed to get online. You know, we see programs like Matterport and programs like that are just becoming the norm now. Instead of setting yourself above everybody else by offering that, it's become more and more the norm.
And Don, we have about a minute left in this segment. What else would you like people to know?
Well, I can tell them how to contact me if they're interested in more information about Fathom. I could give you that information if you'd like.
That would be awesome.
Okay, well, my phone number is 713-899-3938. That's 713-899-3938. My email address is dleonard, Leonard is Leonard, at fathomrealty.com. I'm district director for the western half of Harris County and all of Waller County, and we have district directors in other parts of the metropolitan area as well.
And Don, just a quick word. Your longevity with real estate is very impressive. What keeps you in it decade after decade that you love?
I always have loved the challenge, and when I switched over to Fathom, somebody said, what I love about you is that you're never afraid to try something new. And, this is not really that new. It's been around for 11 years, but that's the thing about real estate. It never gets old.
It's fascinating. Don Leonard, he is the district director of Fathom Real Estate. Give him a call at 713-899-3938. Don, thank you for being on the show.
Bill, thank you. I really appreciate it.
If you're a real estate professional, then listen closely. Cyber criminals are targeting our industry. They are impersonating real estate professionals, homebuyers, sellers, and title agents. Their goal is to gain access to your inboxes, computers, and clients so they can steal information and funds. Does your business insurance offset these risks? Not sure? Contact Stewart Insurance to determine if your business is properly insured. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.
As I always say, stay close to your Stewart Title Business Development Officer. I am close to one. She is Christina Sacco. Christina, welcome.
Hey, Bill, it's great to be here, and it's so exciting to have kind of a makeshift studio today with Blake and Davey, and to see John. I haven't seen him in months.
Business development people at Stewart and do so much in terms of resources for real estate professionals out there. Let's tell people about your office very quickly.
Well, I'm with Fine Properties. We have 2 convenient locations located at 1360 Post Oak Boulevard and 2925 Richmond Avenue, just right there at Harvey Grove, overlooking the beautiful Levy Park.
You're doing tremendous work there. People want to close the real estate transactions far and wide. They call you all the time, right?
All the time. So we're always happy to help them. I have 3 incredible escrow officers, Parker Witt, Kendra Westall, and Julia Augustin. So they're very knowledgeable, all bring a different set of skills to the table, and they are very excited to work with everybody, and they do their best to make sure it's a seamless transaction for all.
They are, in fact, they are legendary. And let's tell people how they can reach you if they want to close at your office.
Well, please call me at 713-325-1748. That's my cell phone number. And in fact, we're having some great classes. We're going to be doing Probate 101 and estate planning, as well as a cybersecurity class. And I'm really excited about doing a flood control class coming up in the month of September. So the flood control is going to kind of focus more on the flood maps, and that's going to be with somebody from the Harris County office.
Christina Sacco.
Oh, 713-325-1748.
And also, if you're listening and you are in the Woodlands, you're in Katy or somewhere else, we have a Stewart Title office near you. Just go to stewart.com. You can find that. We also have other tremendous business development officers out there all over the city. In fact, we're an international company all over the United States and beyond. Thank you, Christina.
Thanks, Bill. It's always good to see you.
As always, Stewart Insurance. We could not do this show without our partner, Stewart Insurance. And as always, we have John Bramlett with Stewart Insurance right here to talk about things that relate to insurance and always things that are relevant to everybody that is listening. Mr. Bramlett, welcome to the show once again.
Thank you, Bill. It's nice to actually be together.
It is, that's right. We have the photograph on the YouTube video, but today, thanks to Blanton Davey Properties, we're doing this face-to-face, and for those YouTube viewers, it's extra exciting. So, what should we talk about today?
Well, last week, Bill, we spent some time talking about some of the different water damages that are potentially covered in a home insurance policy. And I wanted to wrap that conversation up and in doing so, cover some of the different elements of a home insurance policy that our listeners either ought to look at their own policy to see what their coverage is like, or for our real estate broker partners to provide some guidance to their clients so that they have an understanding of what is or may not be in their policies and help them with that evaluation.
That's a good point, because as the real estate professional, we talked about teamwork earlier, that real estate professional, whoever they are, needs to have the right team, and they are asked questions about everything. They'll be asked about insurance, home inspections, and everything else. It's good for the real estate professional to know an insurance professional and to be able to guide them and even answer easy questions.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we talked a little bit last week about that the 4 kinds of water damage that you would find in potential coverage in a home policy would be sudden and accidental seepage and leakage, water backup, and foundation water damage. But we also talked about the fact that no home insurance policy is the same, and no home insurance policy is created equal. So part of the evaluation that our listeners ought to go through would be first take a look and see if it's what the peril setup on their policy is like. So generally we'll see a named perils policy or an open perils policy. And all a peril is the definition of what's covered. It's what caused the damage. And an insurance adjuster is going to look at what the root cause of the damage or the peril is to make their assessment. And it's important to know which type of peril you have in your coverage to determine how broad a coverage is. So if you're working off of a named peril, it's only what is specifically listed in the policy that's covered. So there's going to be 10 or 15 things that say, we will cover this. Everything else is not covered. An open perils coverage is everything is covered except for what's listed in the policy. So from a person's or an individual's perspective, you're better with an open policy, because what it says is you understand everything that's everything that's not being covered, so everything that's not listed has been covered. So an open policy or open perils policy is in the best interest of the individual. A named perils policy is in the best interest of the insurance company.
So it sounds like it's important to know if we have an opened or named perils policy.
That's correct. So again, an open perils policy, the burden of proof is placed upon the insurance company. A named perils policy, the burden of proof is put on the insured. So that's one thing to look at. Another thing to look at is there are different types of home policies that are out there, and they all have different designations. And each designation potentially can have an effect on the depth of coverage that an individual would have. So, for example, the Insurance Service Office has established 3 different designations, an HO2, an HO3, and an HO5. And in Texas, we may see some policies that have HOA, HOB, and HOC, because in Texas we want to do things our way. So those are 3 designations to take a look at. And some of the differences between the designations that are worth reviewing would be they potentially can designate whether it's an open peril or a named peril policy. So if you have an HOA or an HO2 policy, chances are it's named perils only. So again, named perils, they're going to tell you we're only going to cover these things and everything else is not covered. An HO3 and an HOB is probably a combination of the two, an open and named. And then HO5 and HOC are open perils. So again, they say we'll cover everything except these items, and that tends to be a better policy or a broader policy for coverage. But again, all policies are not made equal, and it's important to look at the different endorsements that your policy might have. And all an endorsement is a document that indicates that there's some sort of a change to the base policy.
And one of the great things, John, is this This can all be simplified once someone has the right insurance company that they're working with, a trusted advisor, and the term that we always love and think people should be, whether it's a business, a real estate brokerage, or anything else, they should be properly insured. We all should be properly insured, and you help make this easy because someone could consult with you and know if the policy is correct because they could actually ask without having to read the whole thing because it can get complicated like you're saying.
Absolutely. It's important that you lean on your insurance advisor, whether it be someone with Stewart Insurance, which we hope it would be, or anyone else that the critical aspect is, and the thing that separates us in the marketplace, is we're going to take the time to make sure that you're properly insured. And that doesn't mean that you necessarily have the broadest, the most expensive policy. It could be a very simple policy. But if that's the policy that makes sense for you, if that's the plan that makes sense for you, then that's what we want to accomplish. So we have members of our team that focus solely on home insurance, auto, the personal line side. And absolutely, we can very much connect folks with that. If you're a real estate broker and you're looking for your errors and omissions policies or cyber liability, general liability, those related policies, then that's where I can come into play and help out.
It makes it easy when you have the right insurance professional. Certainly Stewart Insurance. People may want to call you right now, John, wherever they are, not just in Houston, Texas. They could even be in Wyoming. What's the number?
Absolutely. If they're in Wyoming, they can call us as well. 866-798-2827, 866-798-2827, or they can shoot us an email at stewartinsurance@stewart.com.
And one more for the Houston listeners. How about that number one more time?
866-798-2827.
There you go. Thank you all for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, a super show today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you miss any of the shows, just simply go to stewart.com/Houston. That's stewart.com/Houston. Any and all the shows are there. Thank you again, John Bramlett, and thank you all, and thank you all for listening. Stewart.com/Houston.
In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Stewart Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Stewart Insurance, 866-798-2827, stewartinsurance.com. That's stewartinsurance.com, or call 866-798-2827. If you're a real estate professional, then listen closely. Cyber criminals are targeting our industry. They are impersonating real estate professionals, homebuyers, sellers, and title agents. Their goal is to gain access to your inboxes, computers, and clients so they can steal information and funds. Does your business insurance offset these risks? Not sure? Contact Stewart Insurance to determine if your business is properly insured. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.
Hey everybody, it's Bill Nampick, host of Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Thank you for checking our show out week after week. We appreciate that. Tell others about our show, and you could hear past episodes at stewart.com/Houston. In addition, you could see the list of the many guests and interesting guests we've had on these many shows. In addition, if you are in the process, thinking about buying or selling in the process of a real estate transaction, we would be honored to be stewards of your real estate transaction. Simply go to stewart.com. You can find a location near you right here in Houston, Texas. Or if you are outside of the Houston area, we are most likely there as well. Again, stewart.com. We are an international company. We're here in the United States, of course, also traded on the New York Stock Exchange as STC. Once again, go to stewart.com, and we would be honored to be stewards of your real estate transaction. And of course, for past shows, just simply go to stewart.com/Houston, and we thank you so much for listening and entrusting us with your real estate transaction.